I'm not ready. I'm
Hmm.
not ready.
Hmm.
I wasn't ready. Hold on.
Hmm.
Wait, here it is.
This is gotcha. Thought you meant like psychologically.
I'm definitely not psychologically ready. But what do I say at the start of the podcast? And we're back. And we're back with Truth Unrestricted, the podcast that is creating and interpreting the language of the disinformation age. I remember the whole thing on the first try this time. That was so good.
Yeah.
Gold star by my name. Back again today with Patrick, the man who once walked with me along a creek as it flowed out of one lake and entirely along the entire route till it flowed into another lake.
Yeah.
That was an epic time in a
Yeah. That took us
time
2
before the
days.
internet. Yeah.
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 How you doing, Patrick?
Good, Spencer. How are you doing?
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I mean, just fine. Just fine. Not
All right.
really good, but just sort of,
Walk it back a half,
yeah,
I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
down a couple notches,
All
but
right.
I'm here. I'm good. My head's in the zone. We're
All
not
right.
yeah, honest. Honest. I wouldn't lie about something like this. Other things maybe, but not
Yeah.
this. So we're going to talk again today about one episode of The Prisoner called Free for All. You did watch it, right? You watched Free for All?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First takes. What did you think of now that you're getting into an episode that has like real meaning for real people who watch this show? What did you?
It just it okay, I'll be honest, like I
Sure.
didn't
Yeah.
know how locked in I'd be able to even get into this show, because when you first told me, oh, this is a show from the 60s,
Mm,
there's this many episodes in this limited series and whatnot, I was like, oh, I might be Cole's noting some of this and trying to show up, but it seems like, but I'm actually at the point now where I really look forward, as I'm watching these for the first time, to what the new premise is, what the next, mechanics of the controllers are going to be versus what his approaches to it. And, this one, I could kind of intuitively feel why you were going to make discussion matter out of it.
oh yeah. Yeah, this one is one that many people, like I've listened to some podcasts who have talked about The Prisoner and watched other YouTube content and everything. This is an episode of the series that pretty much everyone discusses at some point.
Hmm.
It's a major episode of The Prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
And as a sort of a thing, it's sort of a satirical. I wouldn't even say satirical. It's sort of like the whole series is a surreal take on a thing. Its style really is surreal
Mm-hmm.
in tone, in everything. And so this is like a surreal take on democracy, right?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
it's um I think sometimes I describe this, I don't I don't usually describe it to people who haven't seen the series because it makes it make less sense to them and it discourages them from watching it. But it sort of makes more sense after you've seen some of the episodes or maybe all the series. But it feels almost like each episode is a separate dream that someone's having.
Yeah.
Where, you might wake up from a dream and go, I had a really weird dream where I was running for office and all these things happened to me. And I,
Huh.
and
Mm-hmm.
so if you look at the episode from that lens, it doesn't even make it make more sense, but it sort of allows you to buy the premise more because you think this is a dream someone's having and that dream has all these elements, and it doesn't matter that they're not connected to everything else or even the next episode, because the dream you had last night is very like almost everyone's dream from last night is going to be completely disconnected from the dream they're going to have tonight. unlikely that your dream has a previously on, last
Well,
time in this
aside from the
dream.
thematic elements, right? Because like his role in the dream is always to
Yeah,
either escape
the
or break the
premise is still the
system.
same.
Yeah.
He's still
They,
a prisoner, and there's still people behind a curtain somewhere
yeah. And you
watching
don't know who you can
things.
trust. Yeah.
Yeah, that the premise is all the premise points are still there,
Mhm.
but this is quite different from every other episode that's in the whole series, as is every other episode in the series different from every other episode in the series, um, which is sort of a big deal that everyone who loves this show loves about it, is that every part of it is so unique. Nothing is sort of redone or rewashed just to recycle and make more money,
Mhm.
as almost all television shows are now, right? Um, if
You
they
got to
were going to
wonder
go
if they,
back to, yeah,
I was going to say, you got
go
to
ahead.
wonder if they used that changing um, actor, who the person who becomes number two, as kind of like a reinforcement of that. Like each scenario stands alone. Um,
Mm.
you know, it's always going to play out differently. You're not going to really be able to try and use what you've seen in previous episodes to figure out this episode, right?
Yeah,
The challenges are always unique. The approaches to those challenges are always unique.
yeah,
So
um,
far that I've seen, anyway.
yeah. So I I should say to people that we're gonna spoil everything about this episode. Sometimes when we're doing these, we don't like we're doing a movie or whatever it is. We don't like spoil everything about the show or whatever. But I'm gonna spoil everything about this movie, or this show, this episode, all the little plot points. It's all getting laid out here,
Yeah.
right here, because in the way that this feels almost like someone's dream, it almost doesn't have a point, in the same way that most dreams don't have a point. It feels almost like everything's just sort of almost like the point is not what happens at the end. The point is just putting you in the situation, displaying it for you. It's
Hmm.
more about showing you the setting rather than showing you the plot. And the setting in this case is an election campaign, right? And some of the things going on in it and all the takes about it, right? Which I think I like to look at it that way, that it's because this has a circular aspect of the show, in that every episode, except for the last one, every episode you're going to end up right where you started, with the prisoner being imprisoned in the village.
Hmm.
So you're going to start and end at the same place every time. At no point does he advance through these. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't.
Yeah.
Some
But
people
at
put these
no
in a
point,
different order because
yeah.
to them, it makes more sense that he knows a different thing at a different time, and that makes it make some different kind of sense to them.
Hmm.
But the reason why you can put them in a different order to start with is because he's not really referencing much from other episodes in each of the things that he's doing,
Yeah.
and each one is so different. They're just there. So I like to look at it like that we're less talking about the plot of a thing or a character developing through a thing. We're more looking at setting as a situation rather than like a place. We think of setting as a place, but in this case, the setting is more about the things the people around him are doing as opposed to just him.
Okay. Well, as an alternative view to what the point could
Mm.
be in this show, I think that there's something to be said about like that continual push, that drive to try to understand and achieve mastery. Because something that, like, no, he doesn't advance in any of the episodes, but neither does he ever give up, right?
No, that's
And
part of the premise too, is he'll never
yeah,
give up. Yeah.
and so not only is there like there's the evident question that they always explicitly open with, we want to know your reasons why, but then there's also like what, you know, describe it as a fear or a worry or a resistance to the idea of what conformity would bring for him if he were to simply fit in with the mold of everyone else. He is the only one trying, right? So
He
there's
appears
something
to be the only one trying.
yeah.
Right. But in a village where everyone is unsure who to trust, it's unclear whether other people are also trying and just they don't know who to trust, so they're each trying individually rather than working together.
He's so
Right?
contrary to the normal personalities there though. Right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
out there yelling it. He's like,
Yeah,
"Who are you with? You know, are you
yeah,
gonna sit like?" And I think that'd be like, oh, you'd think the very next episode would be like every single person that was really into getting out of there would be like, "Hey, yeah, you can work with me," but it stays that same kind of dull lack of activity from everybody he's surrounded with.
right. Well, I don't want to ruin anything, but the next episode will of this that we do will touch on that theme.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
I'm not gonna. I don't want to say any more.
No, that's 5 episodes.
Yeah, I don't know. However many in whatever order you watch.
I'm taking them in order. Yeah.
In the order that they originally aired.
Sure.
For
I haven't vetted
people
it.
who are fans of this, that's an important distinction, right? So I just,
yeah.
in case people are listening to this who are big fans of the series,
Right.
that order matters, right?
Yeah.
And
so congratulations for finding this.
I don't
those
know.
people.
There's search algorithms, and I don't know. There's stuff. There's the internet.
People out there just looking for the prisoner. Yeah.
I had someone on Blue Sky earlier today telling me that they couldn't get through the first episode of this that we did with the premise because they said there was too many factual errors. So I kindly asked them to point them out to me, and then I didn't hear from them. So I don't know, like, sounds like a troll, but you never can tell. Maybe I got some stuff wrong. I don't know.
Factual errors in fiction.
Yeah, I don't know, like my take on it, or I don't know. I mean, I did say a bunch of stuff about the main character, the main guy doing it, and his career before that, and all that stuff. That was in the lead up to talking about the prisoner. But I mean, if I was wrong about that, that would be interesting because
and that would be really easy for somebody to articulate if they actually believe.
Yeah, it, yeah. It'd be like you said this, and this is actually true. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. Whatever. You get all kinds of people who
too many factual errors to even name.
I can't even get through the episode. Okay, well, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, we're going to listen to some clips. This one is, like he gets sort of recruited to run for a position of number 2, as it were, sort of the front-facing administrator is sort of what we think of number 2, at least at this stage.
And he's welcomed really warmly by the current number 2 to join the race.
Well, he's actually like number 2 goes and essentially baits the hook, says, we can't have just one person running. That's a sign that it's no good. Everyone votes for the dictator is what number 2 says. And he says, no, this is real. You actually do vote. So then they do opening speeches. And so this is that.
Good people of our community. There's recently a lack of opposition in the matter of free elections. This is not good for our community and reflects an acceptance of things as they are. We know what we must do. What must we do? Exactly. We are, however, fortunate in having with us a recent recruit whose outlook is particularly militant and individualistic. Let us hope that he will not deny his duty to the community by refusing to take up the challenge. Good people, it is my pleasure to present to you the one and only number 6. I am not a number. I am a person. In some place, at some time, all of you held positions of a secret nature and had knowledge that was invaluable to an enemy. Like me, you are here to have that knowledge protected or extracted. That's the stuff to give them. Unlike me, many of you have accepted the situation of your imprisonment and will die here like rotten cabbages. Keep going, they'll love it. The rest of you have gone over to the side of our keepers. Which is which? How many of each? Who's standing beside you now? I intend to discover who are the prisoners and who the warders. I shall be running for office in this election.
Yeah. So as we can see, he starts off, and this is his first opening statement for what his campaign is going to be like, essentially. And he starts off with the truth. I mean, when we first learn about democracy, and we, as high school students or elementary students or whatever it is, however, and when we're first sort of learning about this, it seems like having a politician tell the truth would be the best thing. And I, probably still would like that, I think. But in this take, this is sort of, he starts with the truth, and it doesn't go well. I mean, his very first words are, "I'm not a number, I'm a person." And the whole crowd immediately reacts with laughter.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole take, the whole scene where he goes through this very studious speech where he's I wouldn't say judicial. No, that wasn't the word I was looking for. He's very studious and almost vengeful. He says, "I'm going to find who among us is working with them that are imprisoning us here, right? I'm going to, this is a big reason to vote for me, because I will work to find out the truth of the matter and to, set everything to right."
Mm-hmm.
And this is where it starts, and he doesn't really do very well at the start here.
Can I tell you something about that fact
Sure.
that they all laugh at him when he says that? For me, that makes me suspect everybody is an employee there, right? Because you think that like they know how to reject this enough, the ones who are the architects of this. But you think if there were some people in that crowd who were just like fearful, trying to blend in, they would not have known to laugh when he said that, because it doesn't sound like anybody has ever come along like him before to try and shake things up and get people, actively thinking about it. So to me, I don't know. I feel like there should have been, if I wanted to strongly believe that maybe some of the people are actual just unwitting, dull participants, that some of them should have kind of like not taken part in that. But it seemed so unanimous and sweeping and instant.
It does seem that way. Yeah, I mean, it's in that situation, it's hard to tell, because if they're quiet, it's not like you'll hear them, right? You'll only hear the people who laugh. So it's the sort of
You'd
thing
hear
that
people laughing late as they caught up with it.
That would, creates at least the illusion of consensus about this, right? This reaction,
about personhood,
which is difficult to tell, right? So I don't, it's hard to say exactly, but in sort of like the social conformity, emperor's new clothes sense, right? This age-old fable we have about insisting something is not the way it seems because we know that that's what everyone else thinks, and they'll think us, foolish. In the case of the fable, they think they're a fool if they admit to the thing that they can see in front of them, which is that there are no clothes. This sort of makes some sense in the mind of people who believe that people can fake this. So this is in a conspiratorial sense from the mind of a person who feels that all the conspiracies are real. That makes perfect sense, because to them, a lot of people, know what's happening in the world, but refuse to say because they just want to go along. They're sheeple is the word that's used. But yeah, I don't know. But I thought that it's interesting, as far as this goes, I mean, he doesn't have a character arc here really, but the campaign that he's on does have its own arc, right? Which I thought was an interesting part about this episode is as this goes. This is an early episode. I think, I suspect, and I for fans of the series, you're not allowed to say often that anything is wrong with it, but
Yeah.
I suspect that some episodes he had more time to spend doing all the thinking about the script and the plots and all that stuff than on some other episodes. And I think as you watch it, you'll see that some are better and some are more filled with things that might seem like they're just coming in from stage left and then taking up a bunch of time. Like even in this one, there's almost a full minute and a half or whatever of a fight scene at the end that's probably unnecessary. You could get an action scene in without having it be, that long or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, we'll move on to the next clip. He very shortly after he starts his campaign, his sort of, I don't know, housemaid who doesn't speak English, at least doesn't, claims to not speak English. She's driving him around, because also what's true is I don't think, I'll have to check again, but I don't think at any point in the series he drives any vehicles in the village. I think that's another thing about this series that essentially would be part of the premise. Whenever he's in a vehicle somewhere, I'm pretty sure someone else is driving him. It happened in the first episode, in the premiere episode, where there was a car that pulled up and the lady spoke French. And then he asked why she's speaking French, and she says something about it being international, which is also must be, I think it's something, he's saying something about English versus French thing, whatever going on in 60s Britain. But I think it's a thing that doesn't land here. It comes up again in this episode where there's something about international, French being international. But again, when he's driving, this other person is the one actually doing the driving, and he's just there, which I think is also interesting. Notably, in the opening credits, before he ever gets to the island, he is driving himself, like in his car, like in his fancy sports car in the opening credits, right? So, there's something about that somewhere. I'm not really sure. I'd have to double check though. Maybe he drives a vehicle at some point somewhere else.
There's not a lot of call for it though. I mean, it seems a very walkable village, right?
Yeah, it's not a big village.
Hobbitville.
These are essentially golf carts that they're driving in, right? Like yeah. But anyway, shortly after he starts his campaign, the press finds him, and this is a clip of that.
Congratulations.
Come again.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am number 113, and this is my photographic colleague, number 113B. We contribute to the local newspaper, the Tally-Ho, you know.
Drive on.
This is red-hot stuff, you know. Haven't had a candidate of your caliber for ages.
Congratulations.
How are you going to handle your campaign?
No comment.
Intends to fight for freedom at all costs. Policy.
No comment.
will tighten up on village security.
Smile.
How about your external policy?
No comment.
Our exports will operate in every corner of the globe. How do you feel about life and death?
Mind your own business.
No comment.
So
I loved that scene in this episode so much.
It's his entire platform is essentially made up by the press, because presumably because they want a better story, but they don't. He doesn't. I mean, he has to say aloud what he's writing down so that we all know it, right? Because we're not going to read it. But there's no hesitation. He's not the least bit surprised that he has to make up the answer, right? So we get the idea that the press has done this before, where they're just making up whatever they want as the answer, right?
Yeah.
And that is definitely the conspiratorial view of the media. There's a reason why they name it the mainstream media. The idea being that they are not discovering the truth, they are attempting to dictate the truth to everyone else, right? And that's definitely happening in this scene where they're asking him questions, he's not answering them, and they're just making up their own answers to the questions as they go. And they're also, the answers aren't very unique. Like they're very just middle of the road. Yeah, this candidate's going to be a good guy. There's all these issues, but it's not, like they're the same thing that pretty much everyone would answer if they're running, like it's, they're not, yeah, everything's going to be good. You're going to sell everything everywhere and we're going to have good defense. And yeah, like it's, no one's going to be against good defense.
Very form letter.
Yeah. It's, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Pat answers. Yeah. So anything else about that before we move on?
No, just I thought it was. I laughed.
Really
I laughed
good,
out loud when I saw it. No comment. The last bit, I was just like, oh, that's so.
Yeah.
Like you could tell the guy was like having fun.
Yeah. No comment.
Yeah.
So the campaign moves along, and there's a piece of this that I'm skipping because I don't want the episode to be super long, but there is a sort of a Manchurian candidate aspect to this where the sort of people in charge realize he's not doing very well, and so he kind of gets drug off to a room somewhere, and they put some drugs in him, and they seem to hypnotize him to some extent, and there's a whole thing going on with that. And it's also not something that is very good in an audio clip, which is another reason why I didn't bother to put it in. Notably, this does happen several years after the Manchurian Candidate is out. Manchurian Candidate was like 62, I believe, when we covered it. We did 62. This is 67, so like 5 years later.
Okay.
It's possible that he saw the Manchurian Candidate, knew about it. I think it was a well-discussed movie at the time, even as far away as Britain. Which is more true now that movies make it across the Atlantic than it was in the 60s. But I think that it's fairly likely that he knew something about it. So maybe that affected something that he did here. Then this wasn't a coincidence that he's appears to be hypnotizing a candidate in this way as an homage, at least, to the Manchurian
Like they
candidate.
know the idea is out there, so it's
yeah.
it's accessible as a plot device.
Yeah. Which isn't exactly the plot of the Manchurian Candidate, of course. It's not the candidate who's being hypnotized. We covered that. It's this odd naming thing, but whatever. There is that subplot line going on, but after they sort of refresh him and get him back on his feet to go out and campaign again, he gets into some slogans. And this is when his campaign is starting to do much, much better.
Place your trust in the old regime. The policies are defined, the future certain. The old regime, forever. And the old number 2, forever. Confession by coercion, is that what you want? Vote for him, and you have it. Or stand firm upon this electoral platform and speak a word without fear. The word is freedom. half a dozen of the other. Not here. It's 6 for 2, and 2 for nothing, and 6 for free, for all, for free, for all. Vote.
Yeah.
Some freestyling.
Yeah, but you can see the campaign evolve, right? I mean, he's starting with the truth, the actual truth of their situation, and he gets panned essentially. And now he's and then he leaves in the car, and the only people who want to talk to him are the press, and they make up the answers. Now he's sort of I believe he is in the car getting driven around doing this megaphone thing through the village as he's doing this, and he's greeted with crowds are coming to listen to him now, right? Like they're listening to him, and this is all populist rhetoric. This is just bare bones populist rhetoric. It's all just tell them what they want to hear. And then he's got a slogan, right? 6 for 2 and 2 for nothing. And it's clever, right? Like it is clever, and it fits the situation they're in. It's not just a slogan that will work for anyone. It only works for him, which is when a slogan actually works is when it's something that everyone knows applies to the current situation, but no other candidate would be able to really use and have it make sense. And of course, he's also blatantly lying here, that it'll be the same number 2 forever, which is also not even true of the village. It's always a different number 2, right? They're already switching all the time.
Is he showing that he doesn't remember from episode to episode?
No, I think he's just saying the most slanderous thing he can come up with about the number 2 that he's running against, right? It's the current number 2 is a fascist who's just going to coerce you into confessing, and I'll be much better. For me, it'll be freedom. You'll be free. You'll be no problems. Life will be glorious. And him, it's a dark regime that you'll be cast under, right? And that's this is just populist rhetoric. This is just red meat. It's just it's not specific. Even almost every populist that's happened since 1967, or even the ones before that, can be, have their rhetoric cast in this mold. It's nothing. And his campaign is doing much, much better now that he's just playing the game. He's lying. He's just saying, he's doing the thing
Whatever
all politicians do.
Yeah.
Well, not even whatever he wants, what he's calculated that the people want. So, yeah. So next, we get into a little bit of a debate between the two. This is, of course, this entire episode, I think, including credits, I think was like 46-ish minutes. So it feels like everything's really rushed, but every piece is there, right? He does have, this is a debate, and most of our electoral politics now does feature some kind of debate between the candidates, and they're sparring off against each other. So this is kind of that. Here we have it.
You seem to be doing pretty well.
Far be it from me to carp, but what do you do in your spare time?
I cannot afford spare time.
You hear that? He's working to his limit. Can't afford spare time. We're all entitled to spare time. Leisure is our right.
In your spare time, if you get it, what will you do?
Less work and more play. Thanks.
Yeah. So, I mean, more the populist there, right? It's he asks this question that has no right answer. Any answer that the current number 2 gives will be twisted into the wrong thing, and we see that done really cleverly here, right? Like number two attempts to answer, well, I don't have any spare time. I devote all my time to my job. I'm working, but the answer is he's working to his limit. He'll never be any better than this because he's already giving everything he can, and this is all you're getting from that, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, this is one of a very clever piece of writing that it's very well done. And this is what politicians attempt to do to each other: ask a question that there's no good answer for, and then nail the other guy with any answer that he gives,
with what he gave away.
Yeah. Any answer that you give you're going to get slammed for it, right? And in this case, it sort of felt like there was a right answer, but even that's the wrong answer because of the way political rhetoric is almost the thing being satirized here in a way. You know what I mean? Like the entire political process is sort of lampooned here. So I thought that was incredibly fun moment between them. And what will you do with your spare time? Less work, more pay.
Stuff people want.
Just tell them what they want to hear. Doesn't matter. It doesn't. Yeah. By the time you get in, it'll be too late. You know what I mean? And that is also the conspiratorial view of democracy: is that it doesn't matter who you vote for. Both will be bad. That's generally what it comes down to once you talk to the people who are in that conspiratorial space. There's no right answer. There's no good politician. There's no one who's going to get you out of this. They're both going to lead to the same dark place. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, they're right. We don't really have good politicians, I hate to say, it's not as nefarious as people act like. It's actually just two puppets on two hands, but it is the power struggle that is built into our democracy that means that whatever party it is coming to power, as they take power, they've got to come up with an entire strategy about how to keep power, because they're attaching that power seeking to the success of their mission, right? As opposed to saying, an honest, transparent way would be to say, we're going to carry out our mission, and if we succeed, we expect support to continue on with it, right? But that's never really the yardstick used for either side. There's not a lot of rational measurement. There's just a lot of power seeking.
We have informal measures of this in Canada, and I think generally speaking, in what's referred to as like the Westminster system, it's not a formal arrangement. Technically, a candidate can still say whatever they want and then attain the position and then not do any of those things and work on even the opposite of those things. They can do that. But we generally feel, and it's entered more common parlance. It's certainly a thing that the talking heads, the pundits will discuss, but ordinary people are starting to talk about it more. The idea that there is a mandate, that when a politician lays out a platform of what they intend to do, that is their mandate, and then when they get voted in, that's the thing they intend to do. And when they don't, or when they decide they're going to do something drastically different or some new idea, we talk about them not having a mandate for that we'd like to allow them to do the things that they said they're going to do, but that if they're going to do a bunch of other things, that the right thing to do would be to call an election, because they can. In the Westminster system, you can call a new election. We're going to say, look, the situation just changed because of whatever, and we think that we have some other solutions for this, but we think we need a mandate for this. We want the people behind us as we do it. So we're going to call an election. We're going to do it, that sort of thing. And that's essentially what Carney did once he got into into power. He got into power because he was elected leader of the party. But he said that he would like his own mandate. He doesn't want to just, he has another, I don't know, I think it was a year and a half or something on the mandate from Trudeau, but he didn't want to just carry out that one. He wanted to do his own mandate. So he wanted to have his own ideas for solutions for things and this sort of thing. So he called an election. And then, I mean, whether he was right or wrong to do that, he did get a new minority that was a few seats behind. And now with some people changing seats, has got a couple seat majority. However long you'll have that for. It's only like 2 seats. So it's, some people are framing it as like it's all over because the majority happened and now he can do anything he wants. Take it easy.
Yeah.
As soon as 2 people don't show up, he's maybe not making it. You know what I mean? Like, and also all the other parties that were going to play along just to make sure there wasn't another election, they're under no obligation to do that anymore. Say, if you can't handle your own flock, that's not our problem. So you get back to all kinds, you know, a lot of math changes as soon as that happens. And it's not that much of a majority. 2 seats is not a comfortable margin. No. 20 seats is much better, way better. 5 is also not great. But yeah, it's, we do have this. Technically they can, but the expectation that they not is something that they tend to pay for at the ballot box when the time comes around. And the only way to get away from that is to not have any more elections, which we don't foresee in our future, because also we have this weird power structure where it's actually the governor general that's in charge of that. You know, the prime minister comes in and they bring a piece of paper into the governor general and say, will you please do this? And the governor general always does it, but they don't have to. They can say, no, you're doing this for some reason that shouldn't be, or whatever. You go back and do your job. Or they can say, the governor general can call the election without that and say, look, whatever you guys are doing in that parliament building over there, it's not working. We need to reshuffle the deck here. We need to figure out what the people want again, because shenanigans or whatever, like, they have the power to do that. They don't. They haven't.
They just have never exercised it.
They've never exercised it. There's also not a real big drive to do it because they're the king's representative, but the king doesn't tend to give them direct orders. Since the 50s, it's been a Canadian person who's been the governor general rather than an English person.
Right.
And so it's been this thing where we have this position that has all this power that never gets used. And we always put a person in that position who isn't going to use it because the king appoints them. And for time immemorial, certainly all of King Charles's actual, biological life, they've always appointed the person that the prime minister recommended. It's not in the prime minister's interest to nominate someone who wants power because they would take it from the prime minister. So we have this weird balancing act that makes it work. And as if the governor general ever wanted to do things, would probably upset everyone and say, no, we're going to do something about this stupid governor general. Can we? Yeah. Let's do something. And then the king can just say, I don't know, unrest, stop that, pick a new one. Like he can, you know what I mean? Like the worst thing would be if King Charles himself decided, you know what? I think I need to take an active part in this Canada thing. That would be the thing that would really throw this country into a frenzy. Right.
Maybe.
But,
everyone's liking Charles right now with his recent remarks at the Lighthouse, right? So
yeah. Right. But once he steps in and says, you know what?
Yeah.
Hand on hip, let's do this, Canada. I think that's the moment where Canada be like, I don't know.
Reassess. Yeah.
We like you at a distance. Like that's you're an extra 3 time zones away from our, the closest time zone. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever. You need to go back. Yeah. We
Back to
have
England.
telecommunications, but I don't think this is a good idea. But we do have this idea that at any moment, all the ministers as well, like if let's say you're Mark Carney and you're gonna be a fascist or whatever, maybe you are, and you're gonna want to have no more elections, you have to have all the actual sitting members of parliament in your party be on board with everything you're doing. As soon as they're not, as soon as they get any idea that they might get voted out, they're inclined to not do necessarily everything, right? That there's another penalty that will get paid down the line as soon as there's an election. So in other words, in order to be truly fascist like this, you have to have no more elections, and you have to have people accept it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which worked like one time in history, which was Germany. Germany elected a guy, and then he said, let's have no more elections. And then said, yeah, okay, whatever. But they were a new democracy. They'd only been doing it for like 10, 12 years or something. And they'd had like 11 elections in those 12 years. And it was a nightmare. So they just said, you know what? We're tired of that. You're right. Let's just go for a while or maybe forever without him. And they accepted that, which was a mistake. And the idea that any other democracy would allow it again seems, I don't know, at least a little absurd. I think if any prime minister elected say, you know what, we don't have time for an election, I'd be like, oh, I don't know. I think we'll make time. Yeah. I think we'll make time. Yeah, we're busy. Yeah, but I think we'll still make time. Mr. I don't think we should have more elections. I think we'll still make time. We want everyone sitting in that office to know that they have to come back to us to figure out who's going to sit there like repeatedly. And if we want to vote them out, we will. Like that's always.
If only more people felt that way and believed that way and acted that way. Because there are people that would sign off the whole thing and be like, whatever, it's all just.
There's a movement. There is a movement now with an actual thought leader involved that I've never gone over the details of that whole thing on this podcast, but there is a guy who advocates for a monarchy again in the States primarily. And to do away with elections, essentially just to be authoritarian monarchy. Yeah. That's a whole thing. It's mostly, and it's all the richest right-wing guys who buy into it, which is, I mean, it's the Elon Musk. It's the who's the guy with Palantir, the real weirdo guy.
It's not Ellison, is it?
No, Larry Ellison's one of them. No, he's one of them.
Palantir.
What's his name? The real weirdo guy. Yeah, the guy looks like he's always sweating. What's his name?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. I can't think of his name. What a stupid name to not think of. Yeah. Anyway,
I had it for a second.
Everyone will know. The guy that sued Gawker. Helped Hulk Hogan sue Gawker, but sued Gawker.
Nice.
Anyway, we're off topic. We're talking about democracy, though, and the fact that we have it. And at any moment, if not everyone shows up, that prime minister could just not be prime minister anymore and have to go right back to ask us for our permission to be prime minister again. Mm-hmm. That's a power. It's nice. I used to think it should be on a cycle, just like it was in the US. But now that I've come to get more wisdom, I like that at any moment, that guy could just not be prime minister anymore. Just a couple people not show up even, and then he's not prime minister.
Imagine if our country had a rule. So like that if an election didn't have a certain number of people turn out to cast the votes, then the results weren't binding, right? Because I see like the biggest movement, ironically, is apathy, right? You can't get these people to show up for a meeting, but they are the biggest collective that are impacting the outcome of elections.
Yeah. Well, I think that, zealotry itself is a force, right? And the zealots of the world will always vote more fervently than the people who aren't as involved, right? Mm-hmm. I kind of like Australia's thing where they have a strong encouragement to vote.
Yeah.
I think the way it works out is you get you prove that you voted, and then you get a thing that you put in with your taxes, and you get extra off your taxes, whatever. So essentially, you're getting paid to vote,
right,
in a roundabout way,
or you're avoiding the penalty of not getting the reward.
Well, yeah, right. So
by
they have
voting.
something like a 90% turnout or something. I think I read that in the most recent election. It was roughly close. It was close to 90%, which means that 10% of the people are so busy on that day. They're like, screw it. It's worth it to take the hit to not have to go in and have the crowd or whatever. You know, like
vote for a candidate that they don't like.
Yeah.
Choose
whatever.
the lesser evil.
Which it always is the lesser evil. But you want the lesser evil. You don't want the greater evil. Like,
I don't know. Why settle?
Well, it shouldn't be our only solution to just settle for the lesser evil. We should also work to make the system better so that we eventually don't have a situation where we have the lesser evil. We should admit that there's something about the environment in which candidates are made that is a problem at some point, because if every single one of them turns out some level of like shitty in a very particular way, and they all seem to be shitty in a very particular way, I would say that we should say that there's something in their environment that's poisoning them toward that being shitty in that particular way.
I would 100% say that's what I observed.
That feels like
the impact of
good
culture.
sociological conclusion. I don't know what exactly it is in that environment. There's a lot of factors.
They're responding to the only predominant pressures presenting from the population that they listen to, right? So even if you had a full, say, council at the municipal level who just had the best ideas, if those ideas rubbed everyone the wrong way and everyone was coming to their opinions through ignorance, that council would cave. They would not drive forward the best solution that they knew. They would become the mouthpiece of this, whatever this deficient collective is. That's just the political machine. You never see people who are willing to swim against that grain.
Maybe.
Not really.
I still think that a better set of ideas can change an outcome. I'm optimistic though by nature.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just Sunshine Spencer talking here.
Yeah.
That's a funny inside joke, Patrick, that I'm going to explain to you right now, because there is in the world a man named Spencer Sunshine who's also Canadian, and he is a prominent writer about right-wing shitheads.
Oh, okay.
He's he is like, among people who study right-wing movements, he is a very important person who's done a lot of research on the thing, whatever.
Neat.
But Sunshine Spencer is different. I'm just optimistic person named Spencer.
Gotcha. So, very good.
So we have one more clip. As the storyline of the episode goes, of course, he's started out with attempting to tell the truth to the public, and that was a no-go. He comes around to just being like every other politician, but sort of nastier, maybe more populist, and this works for him. He wins the election, and then he has a moment. There's a lot of fun things in this episode, but the moment where he gets sort of to the behind the scenes, and they have this moment where they're playing with all the buttons, and this is sort of, I wanted to have a clip of this, but there's no talking and it's just sounds, and I can't show anything of the video because it's so locked down on YouTube that it won't let me. But it's just him and this woman who still claims that she can't speak English, just pressing random buttons, and like chairs are like going beneath the floor and coming back up. And that is the conspiratorial notion of the level of power that the conspiracist generally believes that the leader really has. They can sit in a room, they can hit some buttons that'll cause some things to move around and whir and
make shit
click and
happen.
whatever, but none of that shit matters. It's like they have buttons that do things, but those things don't matter. Right. So it's, again, we discussed this in the premise about there was a council. Remember, there was a council that got elected, and that reminded everyone, this is a council you chose.
Yeah.
And they organized an art competition. Right. And so it's that level of power that you get power to do things in your community, but you don't have the power to like pull back the curtain and show anyone the real thing that's going on. Right.
He's hoping that the switch for free the entire village is right next to the
it has this button,
chair.
Open the gates or whatever, and there's a button labeled that, and he's going to pull the lever or whatever. But that's not it. But his what would amount to his campaign manager, this woman who started as a maid and has been following around, driving around all episode and speaking. I don't even think it says. I can't remember if it says what language she's speaking, but she's speaking some other language the whole time.
Yeah, the closed captioning is literally just the phonetic of whatever she's saying.
Yeah, so I don't even know if it is a language. It kind of sounds like it's vaguely European in nature, but it's not one that I recognize. Let's put it that way. But she turns on him in a big way. He like gets mesmerized in this way that he's sort of this weird Manchurian Candidate-esque thing. He was hypnotized earlier, and he walks in and sees the screen, and the screen is hypnotizing him again. And then she snaps him out of it. She says some funny things. She starts saying click, click, and she slaps him a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And it brings him out of his stupor. He's no longer a candidate anymore. He's again like full on number 6.
Yeah.
So this is the clip of what happens next.
Will you never learn? This is only the beginning. We have many ways and means, but we don't wish to damage you permanently. Are you ready to talk?
So, of course, the reveal is neat, of course, because every episode has its own different number 2. And we get the idea that the number 2 is just a figurehead. Well, in this episode, we have multiple layers of figurehead. We had the number 2 who was running for election, but that one wasn't the real number 2. This is the real number 2. Because he's sort of at the election, the real number 2, he takes his pin off that says number 2 on and hands it to number 6. Number 6 walking around with it. She takes it off of him, puts it on herself to reveal she's been there the whole time. She's the real number 2. She's been guiding him this whole way through this whole process to do all these things. She's always known English. Obviously, she knows English. She speaks it perfectly with a British accent, right?
Will you never learn? Yeah.
Will you never learn? Yes. And the whole thing has been set up to break him down one more step, to let him know just again how powerless he is, and when will he finally just confess and tell them everything they want to know, right? Which is sort of also the conspiratorial view of what happens with democracy again, right? Hammering it in, this idea that it doesn't matter who you vote for. It was all just a sham. It was all just a thing to get some other thing they wanted. And the they is always ever present. To a conspiratorial person, you never have to define who they is. Always the people on this side of the fence who are trying to discover how the conspiratorial person thinks. We want to ask the question, who is they? Because we also sometimes think it's a different they. But in that mindset, it's just a they. And it doesn't matter who the they is. And when they speak to each other, they refer to they, and they never define it to themselves, really, who the they is. It's always a indefinable, the people behind the curtain running everything. That's the they, right? And they're all in on it together somehow, smeared together into a thing. And so even the moments where, we get glimpses throughout the series, and in this episode again, of scenes from a control room. And it has these, you'll see it has these weird chairs that are on, like, for some reason, they're on like a teeter-totter or something, or like a hydraulic arm that lifts them up and down. And they're looking at this screen. The screen is almost like curved, I think, sometimes, and it's you okay?
Yeah, just sorry, I knocked something over on my desk.
But it's from there. Like sometimes they're answering phones from there, they're calling from there into the thing, and they're interacting with people in the village. And this is so it's sort of like the control room of the village. Sometimes throughout the series, we get scenes of a number 2 character in that room actually talking to people in it. But sometimes, like in this one, I think that was there and it was just a scene in there. And I don't think there was even anyone talking. It was just sort of there. And so we get, us as the audience, get the idea that there is a control room, that there is a nerve center in which everything goes and everything is planned and everything from there comes out. And when they do announcements, it's probably from that room, right? The announcements of the art fair or the art contest or the election, or all these things are coming from a nerve center like that.
They have
And
a hand in all things.
yeah. And it's that everything goes back to a they, and in the village, that is the they. But to the conspiratorial world, they're imagining a room in which there's a they, in which they're coordinating everything and that they're working on it all together. And to the conspiratorial mindset, of course, the elections don't matter. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. Which is sad. Because there is differences, right, between the people who would be in charge. They would make different stupid decisions. Many of them are making stupid decisions, but they'd make different stupid decisions, right? Different ways to screw everything
You got
up.
to think this show makes a different splash back when it was first released compared to now, because compared to now, everybody has some sense that, government and this stuff is performative, right? But back then, you might have had people watching this being like, oh, this is like contrary to any idea I've ever had before, like the press involvement and that kind of scripting and stuff like that. It says something that kind of idea was already out there so long ago about manipulating the outcomes through public perception.
Well, that idea has been around for a lot longer as well. I mean, we know for sure that when was Citizen Kane made? 1941, 42, somewhere in there. A big part of the plot of Citizen Kane is talking about using the media to shape the world and make things happen the way that the owner of the media wants them to happen. And that, in that case, Citizen Kane was based on a particular person who existed named William Randolph Hearst, who did that, bought up a large number of newspapers and attempted to use them often to, sway the political needle in the direction he wanted, or to do things that he wanted to do, right? That idea was already around, and that would have been like in the 1910s, 1920s. So yeah, it's that idea is already very old, probably as old as newspapers, right? Once newspapers became a big enough deal that they could do this and they seemed like they could sway things, people and some aspect must have gotten some level of wariness about this to some degree. More so once you could have many of them and in some cases appearing to compete with each other, but not really competing, right? So they which was the case with William Randolph Hearst. He bought competing papers and then didn't rename them to like a single paper. He just had them appearing to compete, but still sometimes saying the same thing, right? In a manufactured consent kind of way, which is sort of how it's viewed.
It's neat that I remember growing up and looking at the news as kind of a revered source of facts. Like journalists were out there, being journalists and stuff like that, even despite the fact that, like, for decades these ideas about media control had been around. We didn't see this kind of, or at least I didn't think we saw this just acceptance that certain channels now are biased towards one political aspect or the
Yeah.
other, and we've all accepted it, right? Like, I just, it baffles me that people, like, even if you're a liberal, do you really want just a liberal news feed, or if
No,
you are a
I don't.
conservative? Well, no, I
Yeah.
know, and neither do I, but, like, I think that we're still the rarity because you still see this stuff gobbled up, right? And so it's hard to see people not demand more in terms of provable neutrality when it comes to reporting, right? I find.
Well, provable factuality.
Well,
See,
neutrality, like, for just to have the sense that whatever
like
journalist is
like
working
true
the case.
neutrality would attempt to not report on a thing if it swayed the needle on an election.
I don't mean that in terms of outcome. I
Yeah.
mean neutrality in terms of what the journalist is trying to do, right? Every
Yeah.
journalist, like, if you're a journalist at CNN or you're a journalist at Fox, you know which way your bosses want you to place your focus, right? Like,
Yeah.
you are going to act within that program. But,
Yeah.
it's created these giant pools of journalists who are all just acknowledged or accepting, that they're playing the game. They're just doing what they have to do in
Also,
order to be able to say anything at all.
yeah, also much of that has gone from journalism to editorialism,
Mm-hmm.
where they're not looking at the world, discovering facts, and then reporting those facts. Like, they are, but they're not doing it as often. And much more often, especially Fox News, is talking about their opinions on matters rather
But
than
then,
about, right. So like, and they're doing it more and more. And it's odd to say this because they were already doing it to a large extent 20 years ago, but increasingly every year they're doing it to a less disguised extent, to the point where Tucker Carlson goes on the air after the 2020 election and declares that voting machines swayed the vote for Biden. I mean, him and also like 20 other people at Fox, but him more so, far more so than any other at Fox.
mm-hmm.
And then he gets sued by the manufacturer of the voting machines to produce evidence of this. And the defense in court by the lawyers is that this isn't factual content. This is entertainment that this man, Tucker Carlson, the most watched man on television at the time,
on
is
a news
doing
station, yeah,
on a thing that's called a news station. It's
Fox
called
News,
Fox
yeah.
News. It's not
Yeah.
called Fox News Entertainment. It's
Yeah.
called Fox News. And they say that his output is for entertainment purposes and that no reasonable person would believe him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a real statement that real lawyers put into a real courtroom on the record in defense of a lawsuit for $868 whatever $million, which they then lost because the jury didn't buy that no reasonable person should believe him.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and part of the deal was that they had to stop him from talking, so they fired him. Yeah. Remarkable, though, that they would be okay with saying that. Yeah, go ahead, lawyers for our defense. Say that we're just here for entertainment purposes and not here to. At that point, it should throw in the towel. Just throw in the towel. Just call it
Mhm.
Fox News Entertainment.
Yeah.
Just change the name. Like,
Well,
lean
nobody
into it.
who's
I don't know.
watching these news channels is ever actually, I mean, I assume nobody who's watching these news channels is ever actually categorizing something or weighting it on the basis of whether this is an editorial and someone's opinion or whether this is supposedly the simple reporting of facts. Nobody's actually, they're just like, oh, if it's coming to me on this channel, this is
Yeah.
the way it is. This is what these are the things they said that I will take to war against the other side.
That's
Right?
meta thinking, right?
Yeah.
It's the idea that you don't need to assess each individual piece. You just need to think about where it's coming from and who it's coming from, and that's enough, right? Which is silly.
Yeah. I was just going to say that's not adequate, but
It's
taking
not
some
adequate, but
consideration-
that's what most of the people who are falling into that trap are doing. They're just
exclusively, yeah,
shortcutting. It's a shortcut in their thought process
yeah.
to make the world easier to understand, which means that the more complicated it gets, the more often they'll do it, which isn't great either. So on that happy note, I think we should end this. The Prisoner is fun. People should watch the whole thing and watch this episode and generate your own thoughts about it. These were my thoughts. And Patrick helped. He had thoughts too. He said them.
I had a thought or two. Yeah. Thanks.
And so if anyone has any questions, comments, complaints, concerns about anything they heard on this podcast, you can send an email to truthunrestricted@gmail.com. If you rage quit listening to the episode early on because you wouldn't even get to this part of the episode to hear this, but if you don't like it and you think there was all kinds of factual errors, just tell me what you think they were, so that at least I know what you think they were.
How many errors? Yeah.
Don't just count them. No, don't give me that. There were 13.
Well, start with counting. I mean, that's a fact, right?
Just give me at least one.
Yeah.
I mean, at least one, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, at least one. I genuinely want to hear the things I got wrong. I don't say these things because I think that I'm right about all of them. I say them because I'm okay with being wrong about any of them. I think it's
I would just love to hear what anybody thinks of in terms of like how they would have approached certain questions or added to questions or other reflections or hello, kitty.
Yeah. And also a kitty.
Yeah.
Who is sleeping until a moment ago when I picked him up.
Aw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with that, we'll sign off. Till next time, Patrick.
Cheerio.
Please remember to rate this podcast as often as possible to increase its reach. Due to the fact that rating algorithms are so incredibly rigged, only 5-star ratings are worth anything. All other numbers might as well be 0 stars. If it's not a 5-star rating, I would prefer none at all. Sorry, I didn't build the system. Please subscribe to this podcast to get the latest episodes brought straight to you and recommend it to whomever you think would enjoy it. And special thanks to Jeff Powell for the theme music. I paid for it by listening to him play his old acoustic guitar until the strings broke back in high school. It was worth it.